We're Byron and Jill, two hands-on people with big dreams. In 2024, we purchased 100 acres in southeast Queensland in an area called Mount Binga. We bought it on a total whim. Byron was nursing a damaged knee after a motocross accident and doing some heavy thinking. And Jill was dreaming of being closer to the mountains, the beach, her family, and riding some new mountain bike trails. We'd never heard of Mount Binga before, but the native trees, rolling hills and permanent dams seemed like the perfect place to build a new off-grid haven for us and our two boys. We're not new to building, but we are new to YouTube, so stay tuned as we get off-grid at Mount Binga.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Well, we're nearing the end of our 4th week here at Mount Binga, and definitely starting to get into a bit of a rhythm. The temperatures are starting to drop as we get closer to winter, and we've already had a few foggy mornings which have made for some beautiful walks in the mornings with the boys and some interesting drives for me to work in the mornings. That's right, work. It's not all fun and games around here, and that's what this episode's about. The maintenance and upkeep required to manage a rural block like ours. We're calling them chores, but they're definitely not a drag. There's something therapeutic in being productive. Time with your own thoughts or music, using your body and your tools to get things done, which are made all the better when there's a view like this around you. In the last episode, we spent some time fixing up the driveway where we'd had some heavy erosion. We haven't had enough big rain since then to test out our gravel work, but we did have time to finish this project off. So, on to chore 1. We did end up getting another 8 cubic metres of stone delivered, and once again from Bill at the Yarraman Quarry. And Byron got to work in his Bobcat 463 and managed to finish this driveway part off. With the first chore complete, it was time to press on to the next one, spreading some more stones around other parts of the driveway, mainly the edges that had also eroded. This Bobcat's only a small machine, but as you can see, when it gets moving, it's really quite productive. The same day while Byron had the machine running, he ticked off another job on the list, spreading some gravel around the shed slab. This gravel's our own from our dam, and it's the same gravel that you see on our roads and that the house pad and the shed pad are built out of. It's a deco granite and has enough clay in it to hold water, such as in the dam, but not enough clay to make the road sticky. And as good as the Bobcat is, Byron still has to do a bit of manual labour. So out comes a shovel, a stick of timber and a rake. Making a ramp here around the shed slab has been on the to-do list for a while, as water builds up and it's always a little bit wet and a little bit green too. So it makes it easier now to walk around without tripping on the edge of the slab, and especially important when people like my mum and dad have come to visit. On to the next job, planting some citrus. In the past, we've tried to plant trees as soon as possible into any new project. So we get to see them grow with us, but also get some fruit before we know it. We ummed and ahed about where to plant these lemon, lime, mandarin and orange trees, and ultimately decided that the drain around the shed pad is the perfect spot, as they'll get enough sunlight here, and also once the roots are established, the trees should be able to suck up any moisture that flows from the hill above into this low area. On to chore number 5, and one that will continue forever. Managing weeds. A bit over a year ago, we flew a drone over the block, and since then the block has changed a fair amount. Not just from our efforts, but also from the growth in grass and weeds. A solid wet season will do that. Managing the weeds and long grass is an ongoing process. The Bobcat makes short work of pushing these weeds down. The main species we're targeting here is lantana, an introduced weed of national significance, and one that should be recognisable to most people in southeast Australia. We've also got a fair amount of stinking Roger around, so we're also trying to manage that. We're not trying to rip everything out, as that would expose the dirt, which would only encourage more weed growth. It's more about keeping the weeds down to encourage the grass to grow up, so that eventually they outcompete the weeds. That's the plan anyway. We've also been spraying chemical in some hard to reach areas, but spraying everywhere isn't how we want to manage our land. Besides, it makes more sense to spray a smaller plant than a large one, right? But it's still a lot of work. We had intended on buying a tractor with a slasher to manage our land, but our budget so far hasn't quite allowed for that. So we searched for other options, and what you see here is what Byron found. A quick trip to Brizzy to pick it up and back home again, and we're eager to get this thing fired up. This thing being a flail mower. For those of you that haven't come across one of these before, it's a tow-behind mower slasher with a cylindrical horizontal drum with teeth that spins at crazy speeds. This machine has its own motor, being a 750cc V-twin, and all you have to do is tow it around behind something, watching out for rocks and large sticks, of course. It's good for cutting up to 60mm branches, the perfect tool for what we need, right? Let's watch and see. So you have to start the mower up and get it up to full revs. And Byron is just on the quad bike and driving around slowly. And you can see that it's cutting up everything in its path. It's an absolute beast of a machine, cutting and mulching, the perfect rig. Some of these weeds are taller than us, and they will just keep growing while there's still roots in the ground. So far, Byron has spent a few hours each day managing different sections of the land, one small bit at a time. But listen to this thing eat. It isn't without its quirks, of course, and if you're interested, we'll do a full review of it all in a future episode, so let us know about that. If you've made it to the end of the video, thanks again for following along. We do really appreciate it. Not every vid is going to be about building, but rest assured, the removable house ball is gaining momentum behind the scenes. In the next episode, we're hoping to mark the house out on the house pad in preparation for soil testing. That's if it will stop raining here. So until then, look after one another and stay tuned.